Hey guys, this is Rich from Project F30. While I'm sitting in traffic, I figured this would be a really good time to talk about boot mode. Boot mode is a comprehensive flash tune by ProTuningFreaks, and they have done a wonderful job being a fully customizable flash tune for our F30s. They have taken the BMW world by storm because the tunability of boot mode is absolutely amazing. Before boot mode, everybody knew about burger tuning. Everybody knew about JB4. And while JB4 is a great tune, it had its limitations because if you remember, JB4 hooked up to the map and the T-map sensors and then had a flex fuel patch to hook up as well. And they had a few limitations because basically what it does is it manipulates the DME to change the values, raise boost, things like that, in order for you to bring more power and adjust the timing curve in whichever. But now there's boot mode, and what I love about flash tunes, the reason that Hondas and Subarus and I mean just pretty much any tuning platform out there gravitates to flash tunes is because you can control absolutely every single value in the DME. And you can raise boost, you can adjust timing, you can change values, you can adjust throttle valve, you can do all kinds of stuff, and stuff that's honestly beyond me. I'm not a custom tuner myself. That's why I buy one of these things. You used to have to take out the DME and send it to have it unlocked by a tuner. You don't have to do that anymore. Basically, all you'll need is an Ethernet cable, which you've seen in a couple of my videos, and it's the cable that links up to the OBD2 port and has an Ethernet for the other side that hooks up to your computer. And with that, all you do is it takes about 4 minutes to flash. Not the first time, it takes about 15, but every time after that, it takes about 4 minutes to flash a new map, completely change what you're doing, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Now, I've had it on my car for about a week, and I figured it was time to give it a full, comprehensive review. I'm not going to compare it just yet, but I do want to tell you my first impressions, right? It's amazing. I thought that JB4 was great. JB4 is great, but there are so many things that boot mode does just a little bit better. First, let's talk about power. Oh my god. Boot mode does a really great job at harnessing power and just snapping you back in your seat, and it's an amazing tune. And one of the things that I can say about it is that the power delivery is so smooth. If you've never ridden in a 328 before and you got into my car and had no idea what was done to it, you would absolutely think that this car was stock. And that's an amazing thing, because when I want power delivery, I want it smooth, I want it immediate, and I want it to be something that feels as close to stock as possible while I know that we have this power. Some tunes out there are really grotesque in their power delivery, and that's a bad thing. Yeah, you feel the power and you feel, oh, I'm going fast. Okay, cool, yes, you're doing that. But all that aside, you don't want to sit there and have to feel like you're in a rocket ship. I know you want to, but you don't want it to feel rickety. It's a BMW, it's supposed to be smooth. So ProTuningFreaks did a wonderful job at adjusting the timing curve and making this a really smooth tune. It's amazingly smooth. I cannot believe it. And then we talked about power delivery. Like, you want it soon, you want it to be immediate, whichever, right? And the one thing that I have to have in my cars is something that is easy to daily drive, right? And my biggest complaint about the JB4 was the fact that the power delivery down low, below 3,000 RPMs, was almost non-existent. and that is not the case with boot mode. Boot mode kicks in much earlier and you feel it, and it makes it a lot easier to be a daily driver. More importantly is if you're not necessarily launching from a dig where you've got launch control and you can bump your RPMs to 3,000 RPMs to where the power kicks in and spool your turbo, then, you're kind of SOL. But with boot mode, they do a really great job at kicking in the power curve and getting that power to you much lower in the RPM range. 3, ease of use. Okay, I would put this on a scale of 1 to 5, maybe a 3. But everything, once you learn it, is very easy. They have an app, and it's not a third-party app, which is wonderful. It's run by ProTuningFreaks, and it's developed by the same people, and it's the exact same screen as what you would see on your laptop. Do you need a laptop? Most likely, yes. At least for the first couple times that you get everything set up. Here's why. The laptop is very comprehensive. It's got a really great platform for you to do diagnostics and data logging and whichever. The app itself is wonderful and it mirrors that. Now, just a reminder that everything with boot mode is cloud-based, so you don't necessarily need to be on your laptop. You can be on someone else's laptop. You can do a lot of different things, but where it might seem cumbersome is the fact that you do need that laptop hooked up to the car in order to make changes. Now, just remember that you're not hooked up to the car all the time with boot mode, because in order to make a change, you have to flash the car. In order to flash the car, it's got to be off. Well, it's got to be in the accessory setting. But there are little things that you can change. You can change the exhaust flap with the car running. You can read diagnostic codes with the car running. You can turn off active sound, which we'll go over in a second. And you can data log and all of that. But it has to be done on a laptop initially. Now, there is something that they call an agent, which is almost like a little mini computer that you can hide somewhere that has to be hooked up to power somewhere in the car. I don't have one yet. I want one. And then it's connected up to the OBD port so that you can do diagnostics without having to have a laptop. If you plan on switching maps all the time, then yeah, that's great. If you do a lot of data logging, yeah, it's a little cumbersome to keep a laptop in the car. For someone like me, and don't get me wrong, I want one, but for someone like me, it's not really that difficult to plug in your laptop and kind of shove it in the passenger seat for a few runs and do a couple data logs and then be done with it. Because the agent, of course, costs a little bit of extra money. I don't know the cost right off the top of my head. I know it's over $150. But with that being said, it does bring all the functionality to somewhere where you're not having to run wires all over your car and have your laptop in the car. And it does everything that you need to do because it's connected to internet, connected to the cloud. The best way to do that is to tether it with your telephone. So, that's really something that's awesome. You do have the functionality where you can break away from the laptop, and that is something available. It's just a little bit of extra cost. Speaking a little bit on cost, you've got boot mode, and when you buy your license, you have to buy a license in order to access it. When you buy your license, you get one free off-the-shelf map. Okay, basically all that means is it's a preset map that's made to be kind of like a blanket map for everybody. It's not one that's custom built to your car. It's just something that you pick, literally off the shelf, and you put it into your car, and boom, that's what you run. Now, don't get me wrong, the off-the-shelf maps are wonderful. For my car, they have a 91 octane. They have a 91 octane aggressive with verbals. They have a 93 octane, a 93 octane aggressive with verbals, and then they have all of those in stage 1 and 2. Okay, so they can pretty much encompass everything that you need. I'm pretty sure that with the N55 they have a lot more. I want to say they have an E30 off-the-shelf map, which, if you're hearing this, guys, I want one for N20 and N26. But all that aside, in order to buy an additional map, you have to buy a map pack for 50 bucks, and that gives you access to all of the maps for your motor, okay? And that's the off-the-shelf maps that you can literally just pick up and tune at any time. Now here's the thing. If you're gonna be flipping between stage 1 and stage 2, or stage 2 aggressive and just regular stage 2, or things like that, if you're doing that often, then you definitely want to buy this map pack. For me, I'm running stage 2 aggressive all the time. All the time. I just, there's a big difference when you stick it into comfort and then you stick it into sport, it turns into a beast, and then you can stick it back down into comfort. Cool, whatever. But, for some purposes, people do want to flash down to stage 1 unless they're racing competition or something like that. So that's on you. Now with boot mode, you have the ability to work with a tuner and talk to them and send your data logs in, and they can build you a custom map for your car. No two cars are exactly the same. They'll act similar, but they're not exactly the same. So these custom tuners are looking at the values that your car is putting out and building you a tune specifically for what you ask, and then to how the car is running. And that can really do some awesome things if you're looking to get everything out of your tune. Most times the off-the-shelf will cover 95% of applications that you want. And then if you really want to squeeze that last 5% out, which, some people do this for competition. Some people just really want their car to be special and to be every single bit of power that they have for the mods that they put on the car. And that's nothing wrong with that. So, you have the ability to buy a custom map or to request a custom map. And that's, you can request it right off of the app or right off of the website. And they're going to ask you for some data logs that you can send up so that they understand how your car is running now. And then it gives them a baseline of how they can adjust, and then they pretty much work with you until you get a tune that's making you happy. Diagnostic code reader. I'm really impressed with this thing because, to be honest, when I first got boot mode and flashed the car, my spark plugs were fouling out. I had a lot of issues from previously that I had to kind of get straightened out, and I just happened to get boot mode in the middle of this. So when I was scanning for codes with my last tuner, it was awful. I was not getting all of the codes that should have been there, like little things here or there. It just seemed like nothing was showing up, and every once in a while I would get a tuner code to ignore. But honestly, what if I didn't want to ignore it? What if it's something that actually needed to be there, or was telling you something was wrong with the car? So 9 times out of 10, if they tell you that it's a tuner code, it's probably not the case. But with that being said, I did want to see a lot of other things. Boot mode's got a pretty comprehensive stuff. The stuff that I coded through ESIS on my car shows up. Like every time I get in the car, it shows up every so often that my climate control was coded. I laugh at that because I did code it to where it's off until I turn it on every time I start the car up. Some people like that. I obviously like that. Some people don't, so that's not their thing. But there's some things that are coded for fem body and things like that. Most of the time, those will show up after a flash. But all that being said, you still want to see what's happening with your car and decide if it's something that you want to clear or not. I was really surprised with my last tune because it was hiding a lot of shadow codes, and those shadow codes would have told me that I had a failed map sensor, which I actually had to replace, and I didn't find out until I took the tune off. But everything's cool now, and I can see pretty much everything that's going on with the car. Sometimes it'll throw a check engine light, just to say, hey, I'm here. Just want to let you know. But it's legit. It typically will give you a full readout of what that is. And I'm very impressed because the codes that boot mode picked up, my buddy who's a mechanic had a $1,500 scanner that he uses at work every single day, and it picked up the exact same code. So for the code reading feature, for the diagnostic codes, that's pretty freaking awesome. the guys at ProTuningFreaks are doing a really great job about bringing innovation to the table, and everybody has a question about burbles. They're working on a burble slider, which is in beta right now, and they're doing a great job at it, where you can control the aggression, control the duration, and control pretty much, how you hear these burbles, equipment pending. Of course, if you're straight pipe, you're going to hear some whips and pops. With me, I've got a stock muffler, so I don't necessarily have that. But you can control things like idle speed. You can code off the cold start, which, weirdly, I actually like the cold start. So I kept it on my car. You can control the exhaust flap actuator in sport mode, and it basically helps you choose what you want out of your off-the-shelf tune. I thought that was really innovative, and you have to flash it every single time, but then you can pretty much adjust it. So it gives you a thing of adjustability and kind of makes your off-the-shelf tune custom for yourself. And what I really love is that ProTuningFreaks does a really great job about being on top of ways that they can improve the off-the-shelf tune. So something that you'll always have is support. If you notice, when you look at the off-the-shelf tunes, there's a version number. They don't just set it there and leave it and say, okay, good riddance. They actually have versions of everything that they put out. Like one of the N55 maps is up to version 6 or 7, I think, and then most of the N20 and N26 maps, they are on version 3. So you get constant and continuous support. Another thing that I love is there's actually a Facebook community, and it's pretty large. And it talks about all of the updates that ProTuningFreaks are working on, announces stuff that they're testing for beta, asks for feedback, stuff like that. Now, typically, you'll have to go and enter a ticket for something, that you need fixed. But as far as just talking it through, there's a lot of people who have been through the same thing. So just like a forum, just like a Beamer post or, a F30 post or whatever you want to call it, you have a community that you could go to, all specifically folks that have used boot mode or have wanted to get questions answered before they do it. So, yeah, absolutely. This is a wonderful tune. I think that this is one of the most innovative tunes on the market right now, and the product looks absolutely amazing, and that's what keeps it top notch. I'll do a comparison vid on the comparison to JB4, because they do things similar, they just do it differently. They have their own personality and the way they do things. Sometimes, I prefer one over the other for certain things. And I want to talk about that as well. But if you have any questions, if this is something that you're looking to try, then drop me a line, drop me a comment, and, let's talk about it. I really want to answer any questions, because this is, literally the first week that I've had this tune, but I can say so many great things about it, and I can tell that it's only going to get better from here. Messing with this thing is absolutely infectious, to the point that I kill my laptop every day because I've got it up next to me while I'm, I'm doing data logs, I'm messing with the features and things like that. And honestly, there's so much you can do. But it is a lot of fun, and I was absolutely impressed with this, especially coming from the JB4. This does so many things differently, and in a way that I absolutely love. I just think it's a much more refined tune, and that's going to be in my next video. If you're interested in purchasing a license, go on to keysmotorsports.com. I'll put a link in the description. Brian, who is an authorized dealer, has answered every single one of my questions, and actually he's a big reason of why I chose this tune. I had a lot of questions, and honestly, he had JB4 first. He had boot mode. He has boot mode now, and he was able to answer all of the questions that I had in my head and then some. So reach out to Brian if you have any questions about the longevity of it. I mean, he's had it in his car for quite a while now. But thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. Visit our friends at keysmotorsports.com. Go purchase this tune. There's no reason that you shouldn't. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Please mark subscribed on YouTube, and if you'd like to find me, it's at RichProjectF30 on Instagram. I'd love to speak with you, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.